UFC 298, Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria just ended, and this is going to be my main event recap. I'll be doing a full UFC 298 post-fight. As soon as that's done, I will link it down in the description. But the main event, Ilia Topuria is the new featherweight champion. He wins via brutal second round KO. And, you know, this was sad to see. I like Ilia Topuria. I've been a big fan of Ilia Topuria since he entered the UFC, but I was a really big fan of Alexander Volkanovski, and to see him get brutally chinned at featherweight, coming off the loss of Islam Makhachev at 294 where he got brutally chinned, it was just a tough sight to see. And I talk about this all the time, but I want to start out this video right away before we even get into kind of the technical information of the fights. I talk about it all the time. You have to appreciate these fighters when they're in a special moment in time, because like that, it's gone. And I said back at UFC 294, that may have been the end of Alexander Volkanovski. It's starting to feel like that now. Ilia Topuria slept him out cold about 3 minutes into the second round. And what sucks so badly about it is Volkanovski was doing a very good job. He was winning the fight. It was a very competitive fight. It was a close fight, but Volkanovski was clearly winning. And what I want to say before we get into round one, round two, what exactly happened, talk about a disgusting career mismanagement, whether it's Volk, whether it's his coaches, whether it's his manager, whether it's the UFC, absolutely disturbing and some of the worst career management I've ever seen. First off, think about the perception of Alexander Volkanovski post-UFC 284 1 year ago, roughly 1 year ago. People were saying he got robbed against Islam. Alexander Volkanovski should be the double champ. And, you know, basically he's unbeatable at featherweight. Think about that. And at UFC 294, he's offered Islam Makhachev on a couple days' notice. He takes the fight and he gets slept in the first round. Then to top it all off, oh, let's get a quick turnaround. We fought in late October. Let's fight in mid-February. 3.5 months turnaround from getting brutally slept on short notice to now fighting arguably the most dangerous guy he's faced in his entire title reign. I know Max Holloway's very good, not super dangerous. Topuria is dangerous on the ground and dangerous with the KO power, and we found out at UFC 298 how dangerous it was. I just think it's horrible career management. Fire your manager, fire your coaches. I mean, it just really just sent Volkanovski down a slippery slope that I don't know if he can ever recover. I know he's asking for the rematch, but I don't know if he'll ever recover. And the sad thing is, it's one mistake. In this game, when you're fighting a guy as dangerous as Ilia Topuria, it's one mistake. And that's kind of what happened in this fight, to be quite honest. And it might have happened later in the fight had it not happened in the second round. But you go to the first round. Let's go through the fight. First round. Volkanovski won the first round. It was very competitive. Topuria landed a couple good right hands, hard right hands. Volkanovski moving well, chopping the legs of Topuria, landing quite a few body kicks, throwing a lot of head kicks, but all of them were blocked by Topuria because Topuria kind of crouches down. He's susceptible to that head kick. And Volkanovski moving well, landing good shots. Topuria was chopping Volkanovski's leg a little bit as well. There was even like a mild takedown attempt for Volkanovski, like with like a minute left. He didn't really go for it. There was some exchanges in the clinch where Topuria was beating up the body and Volk kneed to the body on the break. First round was clear Alexander Volkanovski. Again, very competitive. Topuria landed some good shots in that first round, but it was a clear Alexander Volkanovski first round. And then the second round, it starts off kind of the same way as the first round, very competitive, but then Volk starts to kind of pull away a little bit, in my opinion. You have Topuria landing that right hand, but it's as Volkanovski's kind of backing up, moving laterally, so it doesn't land with full impact. It's snapping Volk's head back a little bit. Don't get me wrong, they're good shots, but Volkanovski's escaping that power of Ilia Topuria. And, you know, the first minute or so, it was very even, very close. And then it seemed like Volk was really starting to find his timing, find his groove. And then he's pumping the jab. He's landing leg kicks. Topuria, I think, still threw like 1 or 2 leg kicks in the second round, but not that many in the second round as he was throwing in the first. Both guys were chopping their legs pretty significantly in the first round. And it seemed like, okay, Volkanovski, he's winning this second round too. We're going through this round, and it seems like he's just starting to pull more out ahead. He's busting up the nose of Ilia Topuria. He's moving well. He's moving away from the big shots. He's circling well. There's even one clinch exchange where both of them kind of do a little bit of damage, but then they break. But then comes the finishing sequence. Topuria had just landed a right hand. Then like 2 or 3 seconds goes by. He moves in, throws a right hand to the body, which partially lands. It kind of grazes kind of his back almost, like only like half impact. Then he comes upstairs with a left hand. Volk's got his arm tucked perfectly for defense. It clips him a little bit, but doesn't hurt him. Then Topuria, hold on, wait a second. It's right, left, right. Oh my dude, Topuria. There's so many shots in the finishing sequence I had to remember for a second. So he throws the right hand to the body. Then as soon as he lands partially the right hand, he throws a left hand, it clips him. He throws another right hand, it partially clips Volk, like kind of on the back of the, kind of right behind the ear, but not like super impactful. And Topuria, this is where Topuria, amazing decision making. And for Volk, it's the one mistake that cost him the fight. Topuria, as he's throwing those shots, he closes the distance. And in Volkanovski's mind, he's like, okay, now we're in the clinch position because Topuria is really close. He's boxed his way in. He's kind of landed these shots, but Volk's moved well with him. And Topuria, instead of entering that clinch where Volkanovski, okay, thought now we're going to clinch up. He's kind of let his guard down a little bit. Topuria frames off with his left hand, picture perfect right hand right on the chin, drops Volkanovski. As soon as the right hand lands, it was over. He was out cold. It was picture perfect right on the chin because Volkanovski immediately kind of dropped his guard and started to look for like a single collar. And Topuria just framed off perfectly with his left hand. Boom, right on the chin. The ref didn't jump in right away, gave Volkanovski, I guess, a chance to recover, but that was never happened. He was out cold. He was just slumped over himself. Topuria throws two little baby ground and pound shots. Fight's called off. Topuria is your new featherweight champion. Incredible performance by Ilia Topuria. And I feel like it's the UFC's fault, but also it's fans doing it now. A little bit of cold water is thrown on this performance. I know that sounds crazy. But that Islam Makhachev loss looms over this win in a way. Imagine how much crazier this would have been. Volkanovski coming off close fight, competitive fight against Islam Makhachev, coming off the utter destruction of Yair Rodriguez. Never lost at featherweight, and then boom, Topuria chins him. That would have been crazy. I think it would have been another level of hype for this. But instead, now you have people saying, oh, well, he just got chinned last fight. He's 35 years old. I feel like it takes away from Topuria. And I don't think we should be taken away from Topuria because Volkanovski still looked incredible in this fight. And I think that right hand of Topuria would put anyone away. So even though Volkanovski, maybe his chin is gone, there's a very decent chance that Volkanovski's chin is completely gone. I don't think that's the reason. That's kind of the framing we should put around this KO win for Topuria. It was a close fight, competitive fight. I felt like Volk was starting to pull away with it, but Topuria made the adjustment and found his kill shot and put Volkanovski away. And even the Volkanovski that went against Yair Rodriguez, the Volkanovski that went against Max a couple years ago, I think he gets put out by that right hand of Ilia Topuria. So I feel like people are going to kind of throw cold water on this win a little bit and say, oh, Volkanovski's worse and Volkanovski's done and Volkanovski is 35 and he just got chinned. While a lot of that is true, not the worst part, maybe he is now. Now he's got chinned twice. And oh my God, I thought of this on stream. Volkanovski has now lost 3 out of his last 4, 2 by brutal finish. I told you guys, like that. Think about the overall kind of perception of Alexander Volkanovski February of 2023. Think about that. Think about it right now, February 2024, 12 months later. It's night and day. After the Islam Makhachev first fight, people thought he was unbeatable. Unbeatable at featherweight. There's no way anyone's going to beat him. Now Topuria went out there, put him away. Put him away in the second round in a competitive fight. Okay, was he losing? Yeah, but it wasn't like, it wasn't like he was done. It wasn't like he got rocked badly. And Volk landed some big shots as Topuria was coming in. Topuria was chopping the legs. Volk was changing stances very well, addressing it. At one point, Topuria landed a nasty calf kick. Volkanovski took the momentum, spun around and threw a spinning back fist. It didn't land. Volkanovski was looking good. I don't want to take any credit away from Ilia Topuria. He looked like an absolute savage in this fight. And something I've always talked about when discussing Ilia Topuria is he's not known for his hands. I know he's known now, but if you watched him pre-UFC, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's a submission artist. I talked about it going into the Bryce Mitchell fight. Apparently Joe Rogan didn't even know that. He's like, why is Topuria going to the ground with Bryce Mitchell? Or, when Ryan Hall is flailing around the ground and Topuria is kind of engaging with him a little bit, Joe Rogan's like, he's got to get out of there. He's in real trouble here. And Topuria has amazing jiu-jitsu, but he's come into the UFC and his striking, his technical boxing, and his power is just filthy. It's just filthy. And he went out there and put out Volkanovski, the greatest featherweight of all time, put him out cold. What an impressive performance. And he had all the confidence going into this fight. And he went in there and delivered. There's something to be said about that. You know, I talked about the analogy comparing it to football. When you go for fourth down in a critical situation, if you get it, you're a genius. If you mess up and you don't get it, you look like a total idiot. It's talked about forever. If Topuria would have lost this fight, there would have been a long time that would have been, Topuria got exposed. Topuria's a fraud. There was a lot riding on his shoulders in this fight. He went out there and brutally put Alexander Volkanovski out, and it was really sad to see for Volkanovski. I'm happy for Topuria. There's only one thing Topuria did, and it was the worst thing of the entire night for UFC 298. Topuria goes in his post-fight interview. He talks about he wants to go to Spain. Dana White's already confirmed he wants to take Topuria to Spain for a pay-per-view. I'm assuming that will be Topuria's first title defense. Topuria gets on the mic and calls out Conor McGregor, the dead body of Conor McGregor, who hasn't won a fight at lightweight since 2016 when he became double champ against Eddie Alvarez. 8 years ago. 8 years ago. He's calling out Conor McGregor, who has one win against the dead body of Cowboy Cerrone 4 years ago. Why are you calling out Conor? Topuria, I already think can really become a star. With this statement win over Volkanovski, the exciting skill set, he's young, he's got a decent personality, he can already become a star in the UFC, I believe. Why do you need to call out Conor? And at what weight class? He's not coming to 45. I don't want to see a division held up. I don't think it gets made. I just think it's kind of embarrassing. It's just kind of embarrassing. The UFC, if they even think about doing that, I swear that would be the worst decision ever. I would never want to see that in a million years, ever. So that's the only thing Topuria really did bad tonight. Outside of that, he took shots from Volkanovski well. He was confident. He was moving forward. He was chopping the leg. The only thing really Volkanovski did really clean this fight, and I think he was building up as the fight went on. He was attacking the body of Topuria with body kicks relentlessly. And I truly believe as the fight would have went on, I think Volkanovski would have started mixing in the grappling. He would have got some top control. I think he would have been the fresher guy later on. As the fight went on, I thought it would only go in Volkanovski's favor. So Topuria found that kill shot in the second round before he started to get tired. We've seen Topuria go 5 rounds against Josh Emmett. How crazy is it? I know people are going to say Josh Emmett did better than Topuria or did better than Volkanovski, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. I know Emmett didn't get finished, but Emmett never won a round. So, I kind of get that. But that is crazy. Josh Emmett didn't get finished, but Alexander Volkanovski did. But I really think Topuria deserves all the credit for this win. He looked phenomenal. The striking looked crisp. I know he got caught with some shots, but Volkanovski's an elite level striker. Volkanovski, look what he did to Max Holloway in the third fight at UFC 276. Completely outstruck him. And by the way, speaking of Max Holloway fumbled the bag. People want to say, oh, this guy fumbled the bag, that guy fumbled the bag. Max Holloway fumbled badly. There was talks of Max Holloway's never getting a shot again. He's already fought Volkanovski 3 times. I said, well, why does he wait and see what happens with Topuria? Volk is only getting older. He's only slowing down. He's coming off losses to Islam Makhachev. Why not wait it out? You can potentially get a title shot. Now, instead of potentially fighting Ilia Topuria to get a featherweight belt, he's fighting Justin Gaethje, who's most likely going to put his lights out. So Max Holloway's career mismanagement, Alexander Volkanovski career mismanagement. Volkanovski asked for a rematch. And I know a lot of people are going to say no rematch. And I kind of get where you're coming from. But at the same time, I think you have to give Volkanovski a rematch. He's never lost at featherweight in the UFC. He's been champion since 2019. Since December of 2019 is when Alexander Volkanovski won the featherweight title. And now he loses in a fight that he had a lot of success in, was landing a lot of good shots, started to seem like was starting to really getting some momentum going. How can you turn him down for a title shot? If he doesn't get a rematch, maybe he sits out for 6 months, 8 months, Topuria fights someone else, and then Volkanovski maybe gets his shot again, maybe just gets some time off, but he still reserves the right to jump back in there to a title fight. Because Topuria, if he's ready to go, get him on a quick turnaround, put him in Spain in the summer or whatever, August, fall, whatever you want to do. Get him in a fight. I would love to see a fight that was booked at UFC 270. You have Ilia Topuria potentially versus Movsar Evloev. And I know people aren't going to be too hot on that. I think that's a great fight. Two undefeated prospect, or not prospects anymore. Two undefeated fighters, the elite of the elite in the featherweight division. Topuria, biggest win of his career against Alexander Volkanovski. Movsar Evloev coming off that win over Arnold Allen, which I thought he clearly won, but for some reason people thought he got a robbery win, which I thought was absolutely crazy. But you have to feel a roller coaster of emotions tonight, because on one hand, I'm happy for Topuria. I love watching Topuria fight. I'm a fan of Topuria. I've been high on him since he entered the UFC, since he was unranked. But on the other hand, Volkanovski's career is hanging on by a feather. Hanging on by a feather. I mean, in 1 year, we could be talking about Alexander Volkanovski like we talk about Dominic Reyes now. How disgusting is that? I want to throw up. But Topuria went out there, did his job tonight. Was chopping the legs, was landing the right hand a lot. It's just in that pocket exchange. Volkanovski thought he could let his guard down and start looking for the clinch. And boom, Topuria took a step back, framed off with the left, picture perfect right hand right on the chin, and put Alexander Volkanovski to sleep to win the featherweight title. Incredible performance. Can't wait to see what's next for Ilia Topuria. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.